From Joe Biden saying that America shouldn't choose who they want to be president in a speech in front of the American flag, to the Iowa gunman warning on Discord that he would be shooting up a school months prior, and the FBI chose to ignore that information for some strange reason, we have time and time again saw how much we the people can be lied to, spit on, and then ran over. We will talk about all of this and a lot more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Okay, so starting off, we actually have a situation, I'm pretty sure it's over, but it was developing yesterday. I just wanted to see what the outcome of this was going to be. I wanted to actually see the situation happening between Elon Musk and Mark Cuban. Now, Mark Cuban is somebody that I used to respect. Of course, for the last couple of years, he's lost my trust over and over again, and I was like, okay, what is this guy talking about? And then I just did not want to see him anymore on my feed because I was just getting so annoyed about what he was saying, because during COVID, he was just saying all the businesses should just shut down. Don't worry about it. Big Daddy government's going to take care of you. During the COVID times, our businesses needed to be open so then we can have enough money to actually survive. So if our business, our family business was not open during COVID, then we would have had no money because the government was not giving money to organizations and businesses that were seen as necessary, and the businesses that were seen as quote unquote necessary were deemed by the government. So we were seen as a necessary business, so we had to be open. So that was lucky for us, we could be open, but then at the same exact time we had to go along with their protocols. We needed to go along with their 6 feet guidelines. We needed to close a lot of tables down. It was crazy times. It was not a fun time to be open around that time. But of course, Mark Cuban doesn't care because he's just a billionaire anyway. We saw time and time again how disconnected he actually is from reality, and he doesn't want to accept the fact that he's the upper class. He is a rich people. He is a rich man, and he owns a lot of corporations that make millions and millions of dollars. That's why he does not have to deal with anything when it actually happens. That's why he wants to push all of his policies on us, the people. But then instead of taking accountability for what he's actually pushing, then he's just going to say, no, you do that, and then I'm just going to be in my separate world over here. It's not right at all. People should be really calling him out on this, because especially during the COVID times when all the businesses were closed, he was telling us to also close our businesses, but he was still making money. He was getting all the incentives in the world for his businesses to shut down, and then he was telling us, the people that cannot afford to have our businesses shut down, oh yeah, shut down your business. Oh no, listen to Dr. Fauci. It was just annoying time and time again, so I said, no, I'm gonna stop listening to this guy. I don't want to listen to his nonsense anymore. So then that's what I did. So what had happened, they were talking about a situation that was developing on X, the platform that used to be called Twitter, between him and Elon Musk. This whole entire conversation started because of the fact that Elon Musk, looking back at Elon Musk, some of Elon Musk's tweets, some of them have since been deleted because of the fact that Mark Cuban decided to block Elon Musk for some strange reason. Going back and remembering exactly how this conversation even started, this is all because of the fact that DEI has taken a strong hold on our society, on our businesses, and Elon Musk called Mark Cuban out, or not directly but indirectly, and saying, listen, this DEI thing is not working whatsoever. So then that's exactly when Mark Cuban came in and said, oh, you do not know what you're talking about, Elon Musk. Okay, so this all started on 1/3/24. This was on the 3rd of January because of the fact that Elon Musk actually tweeted, discrimination based on the race, which DEI does, is literally the definition of racism, which is actually very true because of the fact that if you are hiring somebody solely because of the color of their skin, that's racism. You're judging people based off of the color of their skin, which we said is protected under our amendments. So why would we go back in time and say, no, that is actually not against our amendments now, just because it's benefiting people? Just because you're saying, oh no, just imagine this. I mean, that's going to be on the tombstone of conservatism. Imagine if it was on the other way around. But for a second, can we just look at the other way around? If we were to say that we were going to be hiring white people on a higher scale, or on a different ratio than the percentage of people that we are going to be hiring that are black, and we are going to be sitting and looking at their skin color 100% of the time to determine if they're qualified for the job or not, that's racism. That's going back to Jim Crow laws. But then, of course, because of the fact that it is the other way around, we're hiring black people just because of the color of their skin. We're allowing them to get into schools. We're allowing them to get into universities. And then on top of that, we're allowing them to get all of these scholarship programs just because of the color of their skin too. There's scholarship programs that you cannot get in if you are white. There's scholarship programs that you can get into if you are black. And there's schools that you can get into like Harvard that allow people to get into Harvard at a lower scale just because of the fact of the color of your skin. So if you are black, you can get into Harvard at a better rate than white people because of the fact that they say, no, there's too many white people at Harvard. We need some more black people. Just like Asian people. Asian people have a harder time of getting into Harvard because Harvard has so many Asian people already. So that's what they're saying. That's their excuse, not my excuse. That's not what I'm saying. That's what Harvard is saying. Based on the admission and how many people actually got into Harvard, that's exactly what had happened. I'm not saying this. This is exactly what they're doing. Now that we're on the same exact page here, this is exactly what had happened. Discrimination based on race, which DEI does, is literally the definition of racism. That's what Elon Musk said. Now that we have the background about the situation here, Mark Cuban then reposted, or I should say we retweeted with a lengthy quote tweet and said, "Let me help you out and give you my thoughts on DEI. Number 1, diversity. Good businesses look where others don't. To find the employees that will put your business in the best possible position to succeed." I'll stop you right there. If you need to look at skin color to choose who the best person is for the job, then that's not the best person for the job, honey. That's not the best person for the job. The best person for the job is depending on their specifications for that job position, and then also looking at the history at which that person has. If you are looking based off of the color of their skin, then that's not where their skill set is. That's not where their skill set is. That's where their skin color is. So if you're looking at somebody's skin and saying, "Oh, I think that you know how to," I think you know how to I don't know, something so unproportionally racist. It's like, "Oh, I think you know how to," like a white person, "Oh, I know how you don't use spices at all." Like, okay, so if we were to say that the other way around, and then you were just going to go up to a black person and say, "Oh no, I know that you like chicken wings." Like that's rude to say. So of course you're going to be basing this qualification of the job based off of what their skill set is, not their skin color. So if, like I said, if you need to look at their skin color to determine if they're right for the job, then that's not the right way to hire. I take it as given there are people of various races, ethnicities, orientation, etc. that are regularly excluded from the hiring consideration. Okay, so when? Because that's a violation of our 14th Amendment. When was this? During Jim Crow laws? By extending our hiring search to include them, we can find people that are more qualified. The loss of DEI-phobic companies is my gain. Okay, but the thing is, at the same exact time, if those companies are not hiring a person based off of their skill set, then that person is not right for the job. That's why you look at somebody's skill set rather than their skin color. And then if you want to hire those people that don't have a good skill set, just because you think that your company is going to be better, it's not. It's really not. All of the people that are smart, like Elon Musk, are going to be hiring the people that have the skill set for the job instead of the skin color for the job. And then Mark Cuban can take all of the people that nobody else really wants because they don't have as good as a skill set as everybody else, and Mark Cuban's going to have a second company. Not first, probably not even second, probably third or fourth, because of the fact that the people that he is hiring is not as good as the people that other people want to hire based off of the skill set alone. 1A, we live in a country with very diverse demographics. In this era, where trust of businesses can be hard to come by, people tend to connect more easily to people who are like them. Having a workforce that is diverse and respective of your stakeholders is good for business. Okay, no, it's actually not. If I look at the percentage of people that invested in a stock, and I see that 30% of people that invested in a stock are black, or 30% of people that invested in the stock are Asian, I'm not going to go out and hire 30% Asians and fire the rest of the workforce force, that's not going to be good for business. So what are you talking about, Mark Cuban? It does not make any sense what you're saying. And number two, this is what he's saying. Equity. Treating people equally does not mean treating them the same. I made the mistake for a lot of years of thinking I did. Okay, so you're sitting here saying that what? Just because of the color of their skin, you need to treat people more poorly? Is that what you're saying? So what? Just because of the color of their skin, what? You think that you should give black people easier jobs? That's racist in itself. It's disgusting. So we're going back in time. So this anti-racist thing is in itself racist. You're saying that black people are not cut out for the job because why? It just does not make any sense to me. And then now you're going to make the job easier. That's racist. Equity is a core principle of business. Put your employees in a position to succeed. Okay, so why would you sign them up for a job that they cannot qualify for just based off of their skin color alone? Doesn't make any sense here. Recognize their differences and play their strengths wherever possible. It is not a hard concept, but it is not easy to implement. Most workforces don't have the depth of management to do this well. When it's not done well, it can create tension and resentment, yet because of the fact that you're hiring people based off of their skin color alone and not their skill set. Number three, inclusion. One of my favorite sayings is that great employees reduce the stress of those around them. Great companies create environments that reduce unnecessary stress on their employees. I'm not talking about hitting quota or getting the product out the door stress, which in turn increases productivity. Okay, so now it does not make any sense. I don't think that this guy has seen the production floor of a company in years. I don't think that this guy has gone into the production floor, because if you go into production floors, you will see that they are on time most of the time because of the fact that they're rushing employees to get things done. They said, no, we need this to be safe. Here's a counter of how many days that we've went without an incident. Let's advertise the fact that we need to be safe here. We need to work fast. We need to work effective, and we need to be in an assembly line form. If somebody's not here, you need to step up because of the fact that they're not here now. They're not going to sit here and say, oh, it reduces unnecessary stress. No, there's stress in every single life in America because of the fact that this economy is where it is. That is what inclusion is all about, making all employees, no matter who they are and who and what and how they see themselves, feel comfortable in their environment and able to do their jobs. Again, it's not easy. Okay, so the thing is that your job is not to make an employee feel comfortable. Your job is to provide the job for the employee and incentivize the employee to work harder by monetary gain, right? So paying them. Why DEI is like healthcare. Okay, so healthcare, and now he's gonna spat all of his leftist talking points because of the fact that he loves healthcare. He loves big daddy government paying you and allowing you to do whatever you want. So number 5. So what's the conclusion? If you don't think that there's a need for DEI and it doesn't create a competitive advantage for your company, just look at the X post replies quotes below. Okay, so you think that the majority of people is not going to, you think that your core audience, which is mostly leftist, is going to contribute to Elon Musk rethinking his business ideas and then going back in time and then saying, well, all of this that I achieved, you know what, just throw that out the window, because we need to hire black people now. We need to hire people that are not that do not reach the specifications of skill set that I need for the job, but instead based off of their skin color alone. It's not right. And if we were to say this in the opposite way, oh no, your skin color does not match what I need on this form here, so that's why I'm going to hire this white person instead of you. That's racist. But then if we turn it around, what? It's not racist all of a sudden? It's still racist. We don't have to sit here and pretend as if it's not racist. It is racist. Okay, so if you think that there's no need, okay, so I just read that. There are the same people that work for you or are your coworkers. Everyone is entitled to their point of view, but these same feelings, even if they are not said out loud, are heard loud and clear at work. Okay, so Mark Cuban, when's the last time you went to your workforce and you said, so what do you think about us firing you to replace you with a black person? Let's see how your workforce actually, takes that information. And then, Elon Musk tweeted, responded to all of this, the 5 things that Mark Cuban said, and said, cool. So when should we expect to see the short, white / Asian woman on the Mavis? And Mark Cuban responded an ESPN article and said, Mark Cuban may draft Brittany Griner. So Mark Cuban actually owns a basketball company, and I guess he will allow a woman, Brittany Griner, to be on a man's team. I really don't think that this is going to work. You're putting a lady on the man's team. I just don't get what Mark Cuban is actually saying, because nobody's going to watch you. So that's all Elon Musk tweeted. And then Elon Elon Musk tweeted a few other things that said, a few years ago, Mark Cuban actually said, yes, I'm bigoted. I know. Tweeted the video and said, this explains Mark Cuban's ridiculous overcompensation regarding racism. The same thing happened with Me Too. Guys who got busted suddenly became fake irreverent feminists because of the fact that if they were caught with the Me Too movement, they became feminists immediately to just cover their tracks. And this is exactly what he's saying about Mark Cuban. And then Mark Cuban went and blocked Elon Musk because of the fact that he said the truth. He does not like the truth. And then, the funniest thing is that Elon Musk just goes back to running Twitter. He just goes back to running Twitter. He talks about CES. He talks about all of the things that are happening on X. And then Mark Cuban's just all upset about it. Like, oh my God, thank you all. I've had the best opportunity in the last 24 years. And I'm so glad to be on X. And I just had to block somebody right now. And oh, feel bad for me. Listen, Mark Cuban, you lost the argument just by him saying one sentence. Or I guess 2 sentences. And now you're mad because of the fact that he was right and you were wrong. And guess who's the richest person in the world? Not Mark Cuban, not even close. It's Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk knows how to run businesses. You do not. Moving on to the next article, we actually have a situation happening in Ecuadorian television station. Now, if you did not see it already, the video was actually going all around Twitter yesterday. And I will be showing the video here, but it's just a crazy situation because gunmen actually took over a Ecuadorian television station during a live broadcast on Tuesday as the country descended into further chaos and the state of armed conflict was declared. The incident comes after Adolfo Marcus, a convicted leader of one of the country's most powerful gangs, escaped from prison on Monday, sending shockwaves throughout the country. During their storming of public TC television station, gunshots were heard and alleged explosions were shown by members of the Los Tigres and Los Lobos gangs. I'm gonna butcher those names. The Washington Post reported. Law enforcement confirmed the arrest of at least 13 alleged gang members involved in the incident. The incident comes after multiple attacks have happened across the country over the last day, including 30 car explosions and the kidnapping of 7 police officers, the report said. Riots have also broken out at several prisons, with reports that dozens of guards have been held by armed men. Okay, so the thing is, at the same exact time, so Ecuador should do exactly what Argentina did. Argentina actually locked up for a really, really long time all of these gangs. They separated all of these gangs, and within a year, they had almost no crime. They went from almost all crime to almost no crime because Argentina actually said, no, you know what? We're not going to deal with these gangs. We're not going to deal with MS-13. We're not going to deal with any of this. We're going to lock them up. We're going to strip them down. We're going to embarrass them. They were all in their underwear, so they knew that they had no guns, and then they made a video and showed that all of these people will go straight to jail. They locked all of these people up, and they have 1 inch space between all of these guys, and there's shared bathroom between 1,000 people. It's harsh, and it deserved. This showed MS-13 that it is not tolerated to be a gang in that country. They separated the gangs altogether, and then they don't have any more gang violence because of the fact that they'll get arrested immediately. Now, this is exactly what Ecuador should do to fix their gangs, because the police are outnumbered. They should call in the military. The military should do exactly the same exact thing as what Argentina did, and that will fix this very problem. Intelligence officials believe the attacks were coordinated and orchestrated by Los Lobos as a potential warning to the government leaders against transferring gang members to maximum security prisons. This actually shows that you should do it a lot more. This is actually the television segment that I was talking about earlier, so let's watch this here. So for the people that cannot actually see this, they go up to the news reporter, they start pointing a gun at him, they put a gun on his neck, and then they just push him away off of air. So now they're just showing that they took over the television station over here. That's all this clip actually really shows. The increased chaos in the country comes as the attacks, as it continues to crack down on government officials who have been arrested for allegedly working to support drug traffickers. The report said that the violence has increased sharply in recent years because the country has become a critical cocaine transport point and gangs complete for control for drug routes and prisons. Rep. Dan Crenshaw, Republican from Texas, responded to the images of violence unfolding on the streets of Ecuador by recounting his experience living in the country. Right now, Ecuador is experiencing an all-out cartel takeover. They're executing hostages, taking over prisons, and stormed a news station on live TV. He said, "I lived in Ecuador. My dad took an oil job there for a year and a half. While I was in middle school, nothing like this was happening. Over the last 20 years, cartels and drug traffickers have become way too powerful and more dangerous than ever before." And I completely agree. Because of the fact that now the government's not stepping in and saying, no, you cannot do this, and being harsh on crime, law and order, because of the fact that the government is actually not doing this. That's exactly what prevents all of these people to do so, because now they know that there's no incentive not to do it, because now you're not going to be arrested. It's sad. Now that moves us to the next article, which is a Reuters article. This is actually a speech that Joe Biden had over the weekend, or I should say on Monday, because of the fact that I guess that in 2015 there was a mass shooting from a white supremacist. I would say the one connection he can actually connect to white supremacists, he actually is just going to milk the situation. So in 2015, this situation happened in a South Carolina black-dominated church, and Biden went and visited the church here. So, according to Reuters, the United States President Joe Biden on Monday denounced white supremacy and political violence in a direct message to black voters during a visit to South Carolina aimed at shoring up a critical constituency whose support has warned since he took office. Biden spoke from the pulpit of the historic Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, where avowed white supremacists gunned down 9 black parishioners in 2015. The Democratic president continued to sharpen his attacks on the former President Donald Trump, the front runner for the Republican Party 2024 nomination, while hailing his administration's efforts to reduce inflation, drive black unemployment down, and combat house discrimination. Describing the 2015 attack at the church, Biden said the word of God was pierced by bullets of hate, enraged propelled by not just the gunpowder, but by a poison that has long haunted this nation. And what is that poison? White supremacy. There is no place in America, not today, not tomorrow, or ever. Okay, but America's not known for being white supremacist. That's where you're wrong. I mean, if this one event took place, that does not account for the 350 million Americans that live here. That's not the majority of Americans. So Joe Biden's having this speech just to say that Trump is a white supremacist. He's not a white supremacist. It's apparent that he's not a white supremacist. This is exactly what happens when Joe Biden starts losing. He starts taking things out of his rear and saying, oh, no, well, I'm not anything. I'm a really good guy. Donald Trump is bad. He's evil. Look at him. And this is exactly what they're pulling out when they're losing. They pull out the race card every single time. When will Democrats actually start learning? This is exactly what they do to trick you, and then they trick you, and then they win. Yeah, all they want is your vote. So at the end of the day, if you give them your vote, that's all they want. That moves us to another article and another speech that Joe Biden had over the weekend. So that last speech was on a Monday. This speech was on January 6th. Biden's War on Democracy speech previews Democrats coming insurrection if they lose in 2024. So Joe Biden said that in 2021 there was an insurrection at the Capitol and it was disgusting, blah 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 blah. But the Democrats will do the exact same thing, but then it would be seen as good, just like how they did in Nashville. But then at the same exact time, if conservatives call that what they did in Nashville an insurrection, then conservatives are looked at as a hypocrite. It's not a hypocrite. It's pointing out that both things can be an insurrection. And also at the same exact time, what they said about January 6th is not true. We saw security footage released about the day. So, moving with the article, Democrats won't concede a defeat in 2024 election. Of course they won't, because they want to win. President Joe Biden's January 5th address at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, heralded the Democrats' much-predicted decision to switch the focus of the president's re-election campaign from Bidenomics to the one theme that has been a winner for them in the last 2 years. Democrats helped stave off disaster in the 2022 midterms. They lost the House but held the Senate by declaring the only way to save American democracy was to defeat former President Donald Trump and the Republicans. The speech was a predictable example of the Biden's hyperbole and bluster that he waved the proverbial bloody shirt of January 6, 2021 and invoked a specter of a president and party that supported a so-called insurrection. He linked Trump not just to the Capitol rioters, but also to Russian President Vladimir Putin, a not so subtle invocation of the Russian collusion conspiracy theory, and also a King George III. And he dropped George Washington's name so often that it seemed as if Biden was saying the choice was not so much between himself and Trump, but between the 45th president and the first president, of course. But one didn't have to read between the lines of Biden's speech to understand that whatever one might think of Trump's old brand and bluster and hyperbole, much of this argument was not just hypercritical, but pure projection. As has been the apparent ever since Democrats immediately began rebranding the Capitol riot as an insurrection. This is all a cover for their plans to ensure that they can't lose the 2024 election. It is also laying the groundwork for an insurrection of themselves, which they deploy as a defense of democracy rather than an example of January 6th like treason if they lose. This goes beyond the dishonest manner in which former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's show trial on January 6th committee considered all efforts to question the 2020 presidential election results, something both parties always did when the results were close, as an extension of the actions of the mob that broke into the Capitol, that made most Republicans into insurrectionists, quote unquote. Even those who wanted to move on with when Trump continued protesting the 2020 results understood that normal election integrity guardrails have been discarded amid the COVID drama of that year in the national security establishment, the media, and the internet, or oligarchs, who controlled the virtual public square, had silenced news about Biden's family corruption that might have affected the outcome. Of course. So all of this to say that this is going to be the same exact thing this time. They're going to block any information and any at all information about Joe Biden and Joe Biden's crime family, and then they're going to sit here and say, oh no, that was for your own good though, because we needed to save democracy. We cannot have some information coming out right before the election, but then they're going to release information about Trump right before the election because it's only one side. They'll only care about that if it's in one side and it's benefiting them. If it's benefiting somebody else, then they don't want it. The end of democracy, Joe Biden says. The first anniversary of January 6th was in 2022 and was marked by a torrent of pleasantry, already looking ahead of the 2024 elections and fanciful predictions of Republican plots to steal it. A lot was focused on false arguments about the election integrity laws put in place in some red states to ensure that the 2022 midterms were to be conducted with safeguards that were discarded in 2020. But as the 2024 election drew closer, the Democrats in their media cheering section switched tactics and instead concentrated on smearing Trump and his voters to incumbent totalitarians who will end democracy if they win. Of course, because they play this game every single time. If I don't win, then it's the end of democracy. And if he wins and you vote him in, that's the end of democracy as we know it. He will end democracy. Okay, so every single time, and it does not make any sense here, every single time they say anything about Trump not conceding the election results in 2020, in 2021, he left office after Inauguration Day. You can say whatever you want about beforehand, whatever. On Inauguration Day, he lost. He left the office peacefully, and he had a transfer of power. So what are you talking about here? Does not make any sense. If you're sitting here saying, oh, no, he's a dictator, he's a communist, he didn't want to leave on Inauguration Day, but he did. Nobody wants to leave after they lost. He lost, and he left the White House. He's not the president 3 years later. This is exactly why it does not work anymore. This whole entire ploy that Joe Biden and the Democrats are trying to push does not work in 2024 at all. This is a whole 3 years since this event took place. When are we going to call it quits? When are we going to call it quits? That's a good question. Never. They're never going to call it quits. So with that being said, we're going to move into the headlines of the week. Now, I'm going to try to calm down a little bit because I just get way too frustrated for good reason about that. But you know what I also get frustrated about is that when police officers have all of the evidence in the world to stop mass shootings, all of the possible, warnings and precautions that they could have took to prevent mass shootings, and they don't. But then in 2020, they would like to ban us for saying that or questioning a narrative, an official official narrative stamped up and stamped and approved by the top elites, quote unquote elites, in our medical field. So if you go on Twitter, or in 2020, I should say, not right now, but if you went on Twitter in 2020 and you merely questioned the medical authority at the time, aka Dr. Fauci, the WHO, the NIH, and the CDC, if you questioned any of these four people in organizations, you would get banned. On YouTube, the same exact thing, you would get banned. On Facebook, Instagram, I got repeatedly banned, censored, suspended because I said all of these questions that I've had during the time. And then when I was suspended on Twitter for one day, I came back from my Twitter ban and I cussed out the CEO of Twitter, which resulted in my Twitter account being banned for a week. Everybody hated Twitter during that time. I said exactly how I felt. I have my freedom of speech. And at the same exact time, you can say, oh, well, freedom of speech does not say that you can go and swear up to people. Listen, yes, it does. The Supreme Court ruled in a statement that swearing is not part of the First Amendment, because what had happened in the Supreme Court case, a high school girl tried out for a cheerleading team and then said F this on her Snapchat. And then the school said, oh, well, why are you talking bad about the school? So they suspended her for a few days from the school. Then she sued the school for suspending her for using her freedom of speech. This went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled that cuss words are not counted as obscene in the year 2023, or I guess this was in the year 2021 or 2020. So the Supreme Court ruled that swearing is not obscene language anymore, so that it is counted under the First Amendment, as long as you're not threatening anybody, in which she did not. And when I say F you, I'm not threatening anybody. I'm not saying to go F yourself. I'm just saying F you, in which Justin Trudeau has already gotten. So I mean, so anyway, moving on to exactly what I was talking about before, a lot of people and a lot of government officials have the technology to actually see what you're saying online and have the precautions to actually take necessary steps to prevent things from happening, like you talking. So if they have this technology to see exactly what you're saying, then they have the technology to see when you are actually making warnings that they should be looking into. Just like this Iowa gunman, he reportedly posted on Discord before the attack on what he wanted to do. Now, this is an article from the Daily Mail, and Libs of TikTok actually talked about this article, and I think she talked about this 2 years ago too. And of course, the government officials want to just say, oh no, this is because of guns. No, this is because of the fact that you are incompetent in your jobs and you do not know how to do research and evidence-based investigations before these things happen. We can prevent mass shootings. We can prevent all of these things from happening only if you use the technology used against us now. Use the technology that I know that you have because you used it in the past. Use it now to prevent us, the people, from being killed by these lunatics, these people that are beyond mental saving, because they're going through all of these crazy delusions that they have and these fantasies that they have. They're very high on all of these drugs that they're on, estrogen, testosterone, all of these different drugs that they may be on, and depression medicines and this and that and this and that can be giving you suicidal ideations. And then if you're suicidal, then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna take my revenge on everybody. And then you take your revenge and then you kill innocent people that did not need to be killed. Now, the gunman who opened fire at Perry's school last week appears to have posted on a social media site, Discord, about gearing up moments before the attack. Dylan Bulcher, pictured left, 17, killed 6th grader Admar Joliffe, 11, and injured 4 other students and 3 staff members before the gun was turned on himself last Thursday. Police are currently reviewing Butcher's use of social media and tech platforms, including Discord. A source told the NBC News Butcher posted a video on TikTok from his account under the username Took Too Much in the minutes leading up to the shooting. A Discord account with a similar name, Took Too Much, 2 as in the number 2, appears to also belong to the shooter. A Discord spokesperson told the outlet that they believe the account belonged to Butcher, and this is actually what he posted on Discord, I believe. It says, now we wait. The Discord account reportedly posted about being at the school and being, quote, ready for what's to come hours before the shooting. The gunman posted a TikTok posing in what appears to be the school bathroom with the caption, now we wait. Okay, so this was on TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok, so I don't really know what TikTok looks like. The video was accompanied by a song, Stray Bullet by KMFDM. The song used on the website of one of the shooters of the notorious Combine High School massacre. So of course these people are following each other and then seeing exactly what they do, so then they can get the idea from them. It's a sad fact that they really use evidence from past mass shootings so they can actually conduct their mass shootings now. So continuing with the article, the Discord account also appeared to post about the shooting moments before Butcher opened fire. I'm expectative nervous. I'm the bathroom gearing up. The user wrote, I'm the bathroom. This person made incorrect sentences. So he should have stayed in school. The school system is not working when you're not even making any coherent sentence over here. The user wrote, according to the screenshots seen by the outlet, there's an expletive in the bathroom. I need him to leave so I can assemble my gun. The account wrote 2 minutes later. The user was also part of a chat room dedicated to discussing school shootings called School Massacres Discussion. A Discord user who saw the user in the chat told NBC. The Discord user said that they flagged the chat room to the FBI in November. Ding, 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 ding. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So they have all of the evidence in the world to not only use the technology they used against us in 2020 and 2021, but they also have it flagged by other users. But then they decide not to use those users' information to investigate him, but they instead want to investigate people that go to church. The user emailed the FBI agent screenshots of the server, but did not hear back. The chat room was closed before the shooting. Our deepest sympathies are with the victims, their families, and the community in Perry, Iowa, following yesterday's horrific shooting. The Discord spokesperson said, the Discord has zero tolerance policy against content that glorifies violence and violent extremism, which is reflected in our community guidelines, adding we took immediate action against the suspect in his content, and we are currently cooperating with law enforcement to assist them in the continuing investigation. See, this is the most annoying part of this all. Whenever there is a mass shooter and we know their name, within seconds, their account is completely wiped and banned. Why? Keep it open to the public so we can see exactly what's going on. Just because of the fact that, this person was transgender, this person was going by they pronouns because they were crazy, they were crazy, he was crazy, this person was crazy. Any person that says that, oh, I'm going to sit here and learn about all of these history, all of these former mass shootings so then I can go and shoot up a school is crazy. Now, we can see that there was a connection between this and the Nashville shooting that happened last year that we talked about. And we can also see that there was a connection between the Texas shooter the year prior to that, or a few months prior to that. I don't know exactly when this happened, but we talked about all these three. We're talking about it now. The Texas shooting we talked about, and then the Nashville shooting we talked about. All three of these we talked about, right? There's a connection between at least two of them. They went by at least they, them pronouns, or was transgender altogether, or quote unquote transgender altogether. So there's a mental problem going on in America. We talked about the mental problem. There's also another problem going on in America. It's called the media will not take accountability for exactly what's happening in this country. The country, right, is not going through a gun problem. It's going through a people problem. The people do not belong with these guns. The people do not want to actually admit that in Iowa, to get a firearm, just like this one had, the shotgun and a pistol, you must be at least 18 years old. This person was 17 years old, which means that it was illegal for him to have a gun. Number one. Number two, the schools are gun-free zones. That's number two. Number three, there's a mental disorder at play here that the media will not acknowledge, and that when you pretend to be something that you are not, you have a mental disorder. That's number three. So, we have three, ding, 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 ding. We have a strike, okay? We have 3 strikes, you're out, okay? We have 3 different situations here that the media neglected to mention. The 3 situations right here that nobody in the mainstream press or any of the FBI or the police officers will ever admit to, okay? These are huge situations that can result in us having fewer mass shootings, but nobody wants to talk about this. It's disgusting. So, Discord has previously used Discord has previously been used by mass shooters, including the convicted shooter in the Buffalo shooting in 2022. Butler was a senior at Perry High School and was armed with a pump-action shotgun and a handgun. Both are illegal for 17-year-olds to obtain in Iowa. Oh, so gun laws do not prevent crime. Yes. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So, are you smarter than a 5th grader? No. All of these government officials officials or not. He also had rudimentary explosive device, which was undetonated and was later rendered safe by fire marshals. The 17-year-old died of a self-inflicted gun wound by the time the first responders arrived at the school. Shortly after 7:40 a.m., the ordeal triggered a mass evacuation of 1,785 students of their first day of classes after winter break. Cops have yet to provide a possible motive. Of course, there's not going to be, because he has a mental disorder. It's just disgusting. One of the 5 people injured was the school's principal, Dan Margberger. The 4 people injured were students. Yeah, it's just disgusting here. Where this is an ongoing event that time after time we see, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody wants to actually say the truth about this event. The truth of this event is the 3 things that I've just said. So, it's crazy. It's a crazy world that we live in. It's a crazy time that we live in, that we have mental issues happening in real time, and then people that have nothing to do with the situation have to pay for it. It's disgusting. People should be ashamed of themselves if they don't want to take accountability and actually pass laws against this very thing. People pass laws against this very event. You cannot have a shotgun. You cannot have a pistol unless you are 18 years old. This person got it at 17. How? Let's ask some questions here. How did he get the gun that he had? How did he get it? Did he get it off the black market? Because if you get it off the black market, this teenager decided to get a gun off of the black market, which means that if he has the ability to get a gun off the black market, then a grown-up very well does have the ability to get a gun off the black market. It's just disgusting that people do not want to acknowledge that fact. Now, moving on to the next article, we actually have Pope Francis actually making a good call. So for a long time now, Pope Francis has been making some unreasonable claims about Catholicism and about the Catholic faith, and stuff like that. But I think that he made a really good claim here. So he said, quote, "A child is a gift. Pope Francis calls for a ban of surrogacy, calls it deplorable." Now, a lot of people are going to get mad about this because they're like, well, straight couples can have a surrogate. It's called getting a surrogate for a reason. This is going to help a lot of straight couples that need kids. Listen, at the same exact time, kids are not something that you can be used to get monetary gain from. Kids are not something that you can just sell for money. Kids are not something that you can just farm and create just to sell for some dollars. That's disgusting. You're putting a value on human life, and that is only done by God. You do not have the ability to put a value on life. Human life is invaluable. That's why it should only be done between a mom and a dad. When you introduce a surrogate, you're now introducing a whole entire other event that's not ruling. Now, when you go and you're like, okay, let's look for the perfect surrogate, you look through this booklet or this app, and you swipe left and you swipe right, and you're like, whoa, what is the GPT, or what is the score that this surrogate mom had in high school? I want my baby to be smart. What is the mom look like? I want the mom to be sexy, so then the baby's sexy. It's just so many things that it's not just becoming, okay, let's have my sister give my son's birth, so then I can say that I have a son now and it's actually in the same blood, stuff like that. And then we'll interject the sperm into my sister, so then my sister can have my baby, and then it's just going to stay within this family, so it's not that bad. That's totally different. And now you're doing it for free because it's a sister that's doing it. That's totally different. But now when you're paying thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, maybe $100,000 for a surrogate to have your own baby, this is a complete stranger. You're ripping the stranger that just birthed the baby away from the baby the second that is born, and the baby's never going to see his mom again or her mom again. It's sad. You're ripping babies out of mom's hands so then you can have the baby. That's disgusting. So, with that being said, I explained it pretty well. I don't think we really need the USA Today article because they're going to make it sound like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Why would he do that? No, listen, I just explained to you why he should do it. That's where we're going to go from there. So without further ado, we do have the media's takes. So moving into the media's takes, we actually have a CNN article. We have new details emerge on piece of Alaskan Airlines plane that blew off mid-flight as investigators probe explosive decompression. So, if you did not hear it already, a emergency door of a plane actually flew off of an Alaskan Airlines flight. This was a plug door reportedly, and it was on its components, as both Alaska and United Airlines say that they found loose hardware in the number of their Boeing 737 MAX 9s, which for days have been grounded nationwide for inspections. So these specific planes, Boeing 737 MAX 9s, are being grounded, so then they can look into this. A lot of people are like, oh my god, I don't want to look at that. My mom said this actually when I was trying to show her the video. She said, oh my god, because we're going to be going on a trip this coming week. She's a very chaotic flyer. She does not want a lot of turbulence. She gets a little worried. Listen, it doesn't matter that much because of the fact that I tell her all the time, listen, don't be worried. You have a more of a chance of getting in a car accident than you do of ever getting in a plane crash, because guess what? We have so many things in our way that the likelihood of this happening is very, very slim to none. Millions and millions of planes happen every single millions and millions of planes fly every single day. And you know how many plane crashes there were? The last main plane crash that we had was in 2001 and 9/11. So the last major car crash that we've had was just today. Every single day there's a major car crash. So, and then you can say, well, there's a lot more cars than there are planes. And then you can say, well, if we were to scale that, then it's still less of a chance of getting in a plane crash than a car crash. So whatever way you slice it, it's the exact same. You have a less of a likelihood of actually getting in a plane crash than you do a car crash. So if you're not scared of a car crash, then you should definitely not be scared of a plane crash. So that's what I tell my mom all the time, but let's move on with the article here. National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Hamdi told CNN's Anderson Cooper 360 that the fuelage pump that blew out of the plane mid-flight Friday was recovered from the yard Monday had quite a lot, it can tell investigators, and was really the missing piece in the investigation. Investigators so far determined that components that may be involved in the refrigerator-sized door plug coming loose, but not yet determined why it blew out. The door plug is typically held in place by a series of stop fittings and has a set of bolts that prevent the door from moving up and potentially flying off the plane mid-flight. Somehow, the plug on Alaska 1282 moved upward. NTSB's client Crookshanks explained at a news conference on Monday night, quote, we have not yet recovered the 4 bolts that restrain it from its vertical movement, and we have not yet determined if they existed there. Crookshanks said that will be determined when we take the plug up to our lab. If we don't know if there were bolts there, or if they were just missing and departed when the door plug was departed, Hamdi said that at a news conference. The plane's plug door would be sent to NTSB's lab for testing. Hamdi said plugs are sometimes installed by the manufacturer in place of an emergency door, depending on the configuration requested by the airline. We're unable to look at the components of this door plug, all the fittings, any sort of structures that may remain, she said. Adding metallurgists and materials engineers will be looking at bolts, washers, nuts, and other components of the door. The first lead plug that blew off the aircraft Friday left a gaping hole in the side of the plane and ripped headrests off seats as the plane flew 16,000 feet shortly after taking off from Portland, Ohio, carrying 177 people. On Monday, Portland school teacher found the door plug in her backyard and reached out to NTSB. According to the remedy, physics teacher Bob Sawyer later told reporters that he found the door plug intact in a tree's lower branches with one edge against the ground. As investigators probe the plug door, unanswered questions remain over previous warnings about the plane's pressurization and whether other Boeing and aircraft are safe to fly. This is exactly what makes my mom, I should say, very worried about this situation, is because of the fact that she doesn't know for a fact if we're going to be flying with Boeing or if we're not going to be flying a Boeing. But what I can say is that you're safe. Yeah, that's what I'll say. We're relatively safe in a plane crash. I would rather be in the plane than on the ground driving with these people that countlessly I got hit because somebody wanted to go through a red light. Then I got hit because of the fact that somebody didn't want to yield. I see people fly through stop signs all the time. It's just crazy, okay? These people do not know how to drive, but these pilots, they do. Okay, I trust these pilots. But I don't know how long I'm going to be trusting them because DEI is taking over the plane industry too, and which we will talk about in a later date. So, we do have Biden's speech in which he had over the weekend, and he actually had this speech on Monday. He says Biden compares, and this is a Daily Wire article, Biden compares Trump and his supporters to defeated Confederalists in South Carolina speech. So President Joe Biden counted his attacks on his chief political rival Donald Trump and his supporters on Monday, likening them to defeated Confederates. Biden spoke at a campaign event at Mother Emerald AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, the site of the 2015 race-fueled shooting that killed 9 black members of the church. During his speech, Biden added to his criticism of Trump and his supporters, again suggesting that the former president poses a threat to democracy as the 2024 race for the White House heats up. After the Civil War, the defeated Confederates couldn't accept the verdict of the war. They lost. So what they did was they embraced what is known as the Lost Clause, the self-serving lie that the Civil War was not about slavery but about states' rights. They call that the noble cause. That was a lie. Biden told the crowd of supporters, adding, "So let me be clear, slavery was the cause of the Civil War. There's no negotiation about that. Listen, you'd like to attack," this is a direct hit at Nikki Haley because she does not know how to answer a question. But at the same exact time, I can give her the benefit of the doubt and say that no. Even Abraham Lincoln at the beginning of the war said that this was not about slavery. It was about the saving of this country. And then afterwards, he then said, listen, yes, it is about slavery also. Both things can be true at the same time. Joe Biden likes to say as if he was actually there, and maybe he was actually there during the Civil War. Who knows? He knows the real reason that we don't, but according to the textbooks, according to the documents from Abraham Lincoln, he said that it was not about slavery, but it was about the saving of the country. And then during the Civil War, he changed paths and he said, no, it's about slavery too. Listen, if we can also achieve ending slavery, then I would like to do that as well. Because the Union in which Abraham Lincoln ruled over, or was the president over, I should say, had 0 slaves at all. The Confederation had 20 million slaves. The Confederation lost the war. Oh my goodness. So that's just beyond me at this point. Joe Biden is obviously very, very he's very, very stupid. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. So moving into the next Daily Wire article, we actually have Michelle Obama terrified, quote unquote, by what the 2024 election may bring. Yes, because of the fact that they saw firsthand in 2020, or I should say 2016, that Trump won the election and now he's scared. Or yeah, I should say he, because Michelle Obama is actually scared because of the fact that Trump might win again. And last time, Hillary Clinton almost cried. Oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, sad little girl. And they don't want to see Joe Biden cry because that is even going to be even more creepier because that's an old man instead of just a young man. Okay? Moving on to the next article, we actually have another Daily Wire article. We have Trump co-defendant in Georgia RICO case claims DA Fani Willis had relationships with prosecutor. Of course, I would not doubt this. One of co-defendants in Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis' sprawling RICO case against former President Donald Trump and several of his top associates claimed in a court filings this week that Willis had an improper relationships with one of the prosecutors in the case. The court filing claims claims their special prosecutor Nathan Wade, a private lawyer, paid for vacations that he allegedly took with Willis using funds for his law firm received from the country as compensation for his work on the case. His firm has been paid approximately $650,000. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution noted that the motion filed on behalf of defendant Michael Roman, a former Trump campaign official, offers, quote, no concrete proof of romantic ties between Willis and Wade, except to say sources close to both of the special prosecutor and the district attorney have been confirmed they had an ongoing personal relationship, quote unquote. The motion seeks for the charges to be dismissed against Roman and Wade and the entire DA's team to be disqualified from further prosecution of the case. The AJC added. The motion claimed that some of the alleged activity could constitute as honest services fraud, a federal crime in which a vendor gives kickbacks to an employer. The report noted that the motion could have been filed to simply muddy the waters by questioning Willis's professional ethics. A spokesperson for Willis said that the DA's office will respond to the allegations through appropriate court filings. Obviously, all of this is is apparent or apparently, and obviously there's no concrete evidence right now. There's hearsay. I would not doubt it if this was to happen, because Joe Biden just has the most sloppy team. Joe Biden took some of his campaign officials, you mean Jill Biden's press secretary, to another country for a meeting abroad. And you know what this House Speaker or this secretary says? The press secretary for Jill Biden actually sits here and goes on Tinder, finds some date that he wants to hook up with that very day, and then brings it and tries to bring his date to a confidential level of the hotel that they're staying at, because obviously Joe Biden and Jill Biden is there, high security. Secret Service blocks entry, and all because of the fact that this press secretary for Jill Biden wanted to record a porno inside of the hotel in this foreign country. It's disgusting. So obviously the Joe Biden administration is just full of these people that they're just very promiscuous. It's just crazy. It's just crazy because of the fact that they know that there's way worse inside of their own party, and they would just like to ignore that. So this, we do have another Federalist article. We have exclusive: how a left-wing alliance skirted Arizona's Zuckbucks ban to meddle in key country's elections. So, emails obtained by the Federalist show how Coconino County election officials have been coordinated with a left-wing dark money group on election administration issues. A bevy of emails obtained by the Federalists reveal how Coconino County officials have been violating the spirit of Arizona law by colluding with a coalition of left-wing nonprofits tasked with influencing the election operations in key battleground states ahead of the 2024 election. Last year, Coconino County, a Democrat stronghold that delivered Joe Biden a margin of 17,646 votes in 2020, greater than margin of votes by which Biden won the state, became one of several localities to join the United States Alliance for Election Experience. The Honest Election Project described the alliance as an $80 million venture launched by 2022 by left-wing nonprofits to quote-unquote systematically influence every aspect of the election, the election administration, and advance Democrat-backed voting policies in local election offices. Several of the organizations participating in the project include Center for Civic Design, the Elections Group, and the Center for Tech and Civic Life, CTCL, the latter of which interfered in the 2020 election to the benefit of Democrats. During the 2020 contest, CTCL and the Center for Election Innovation and Research collectively received hundreds of millions of dollars from Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. These Zuckbucks were poured into local election offices in battleground states around the country to change how elections were administered, such as expanding unsupervised election protocols like mail-in voting and the use of ballot drop boxes. To make matters worse, the grants were heavily skewed towards Democratic majority counties, essentially making it a massive Democrat get-out-and-vote operation, with Arizona and 26 other states having passed measures restricting the use of private money in elections in the years since. CTCL and other left-wing nonprofits devised an alliance as a way to skirt these Zuckbuck bans. In a 2023 report, the Honest Elections Project and John Locke Foundation revealed how the alliance seeks to provide election offices with, quote, scholarships to cover the membership costs, which can be then converted into, quote, credits that member officers can use to buy services from CTCL and other alliance partners. So this is a big money laundering scheme right here. Obtained via open records request, the communications received by the Federalist document the process by which Coconino County officials worked behind the scenes to make their country an alliance member. The extensive coordination between the country and the coalition involves regular meetings on the election administrative issues and the crafting of election-related materials to distribute to voters ahead of 2024 elections in Arizona. And obviously, they're working behind the scenes tirelessly to make sure that Joe Biden wins this election, because of the fact that if Joe Biden does not win, then if the people vote for who they want, it's a threat to democracy. But if they come in and tell people who they should vote for, then that's not a threat to democracy, folks. That's democracy working in high value and high lights and neon lights. This is the election working at its finest, people. But if you vote for who you want to win the election, democracy dies in darkness. It's just the complete polar opposite of exactly what's happening in real life. So, with that being said, we're going to sum up this video here with this. Listen, a lot of things are happening behind the scene. A lot of things are happening everywhere we look. In America, in Canada, in Portland, in Germany, in all of these different places. I would like to cover the facts and the information happening all around the world. So, a lot of people are complaining, no, you need to cover just America. Listen, I love talking about as many things as I possibly can, but we only have an hour every single day, or every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to cover exactly what's been going on throughout the world. I like to cover all of the things happening abroad and here in America. So if I don't cover exactly what you want, this is my show at the end of the day, okay? If you would like to cover the things that you want to cover, start your own show, okay? With that being said, I will take suggestions about what I should be covering down below, but as that should be said, at the same exact time, I cannot cover everything. There's a lot of things that I need to cover. There's a lot of things that I would like to cover, but I necessarily can't because of the fact that there's other important things going on in the world. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. If you did like this episode, please like and subscribe down below. Subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for enjoying, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.